Greetings. You people are starting to sign in. Welcome. Just take a few minutes here as people sign in to get started. And as you get settled in here, signing on, just get yourself collected and comfortable. Allow yourself to begin to shift gears a bit and let this time be a time where you just take this time for yourself. Hello to the O's. Just signing on. Got a few minutes here before it reaches 7, so just take a moment to get settled in. Relax those shoulders and relax the jaw and just begin to let yourself get comfortable with where you may be sitting or laying. Greetings, Joan. Welcome, Diane. Okay, why don't we get started? Let people sign in as they do. Welcome to people who are still signing in now. As we always do, just take a few moments. Get settled into your place that's where you're sitting or laying, and just let the gravity bring your shoulders back down. Relax. Let your breathing become even and comfortable, not forced. Welcome to people who are still signing in. And let our time together be your time to take your time. No rush, no place to go. approaching with a sense of curiosity and patience and openness. And again, allow your exhalation to bring you back to a place of quiet and calm, relaxing at that end of the out breath, just resting there for a moment. And let the sound of the bowl invite you to follow the tone to a place of greater calm and quiet and openness. In our busy days, with all sorts of distraction and activity, and sometimes difficulties, other times joys and wonders, we oftentimes neglect silence, an opportunity just to remember, return, and remind. That sense to just simply make use of silence, to bring us back to our starting point from which we move through the activities and the demands of our days. I'm glad you all joined us, and people still signing on. Welcome. Okay, tonight we're looking at this topic of being authentic. This came to me a couple days ago, and I'm not quite sure what triggered this as a potential topic, other than it being an ongoing focus of my own work. But it came to my mind in terms of what is all this stuff about being authentic, and there's all sorts of certain books and websites and talks and all sorts of stuff about what is this notion of being authentic. And one of the things that I as in previous Zen Times we've talked about, I really encourage people to approach our work with a sense of openness and a sense of flow, and allow our work and allow ourselves and our beings to be dynamic, not stuck, not defined, not limited by how others think we should be. And I really encourage us to really embrace our being in the midst of being. And what I mean by that is just simply allowing ourselves to be open and receptive to the moments that are arising in our lives, good, bad, or indifferent. A lot of times we don't have a whole lot of say over what does arise. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. And it's just a matter of always staying open and connected to what is actually occurring, and not so invested in what we would rather have occur, or what we are trying to control with occurring. When we try to be authentic and we follow somebody's 5 steps to becoming authentic, or 7 steps, or whatever, one of the things that happens is we approach that with, I'm not okay with the way I am, so I have to practice something else, like being authentic, um, to, I don't know, cover it up, or to try to force myself into being something that somebody else with their recipe for being authentic is expecting me to do. And I think that does a lot of violence to our souls, to our hearts, to our bodies, when we reject how we authentically are in an attempt to become authentic, um, according to some recipe or what have you. So tonight we're going to really begin to take a look at um, this process of being authentic as something that's fluid and dynamic. It is not an end game. It's not something that you achieve. It's not something that if you know you do A, B, C, and D for 6 months, you will be authentic. Authentic is much more dynamic and fluid, and it has to do with how we are interacting with ourselves, how we are interacting with this thing that we call our being, with the events and people's situations around us. And how are we interacting with that? That's where the real authenticity comes in with regards to our work. Um, and especially during this past year, and all the goofiness with COVID and other things and what have you, I've also personally, but also read lots of people saying how this has really jarred them into kind of stepping back and saying, wow, what really is important is all the things I've been chasing after really bringing me a sense of being whole and centered and grounded. And this whole pandemic thing has really put the brakes on a lot of stuff. And for us to really step back and ask ourselves, um, what have I been missing? How have I gotten drawn into to um, exchanging my sense of doing for who I am as a person? Um, and so there's been a lot of reflection, a lot of coming to terms with, how is my life going to be redefined as we move through all of this? And those are the kinds of questions that really bring us to embrace what being authentic means for us. And it can be any kind of life event. It can be a loss. It can be retirement. Anything that takes you out of what you've assumed to be real and true, and jolts you into kind of saying, whoa, there's something else that I've been missing here. And that's, it's not so much trying to find the answers, but asking the right questions. Um, so we reevaluate and we ask ourselves deeper questions about what resonates with my soul, what what speaks to me on a deeper level, what have I been chasing after that has not done that for me. Um, so being authentic is not a singular thing. It's it's dynamic, it's fluid. It's how you show up with each arriving moment of your life. Um, and so the, the thing that we need to really grapple with is looking outside of ourselves for something that resides within us. Um, there is nothing in a book that is about your authenticity. It might be about that author's, it might be about that author's experience or what have you, and that's fine. It can be helpful and enlightening or what have you, but it's not yours. It's not yours. It's not um, reflective of um, your willingness to be open and your willingness to be curious. It takes real courage to be vulnerable and authentic. Um, People may not understand us. People may reject us. People may judge us. And so it takes a lot of courage to step back and say, so what am I really all about? What what does define me? Who does define me? Why haven't I been defining me? And I know for myself in retirement when when all of that stuff about raising a family and going to school and having a career and doing this and workshops and all that kind of stuff suddenly goes from 100 to 5 miles an hour, makes for a lot of room to say, now what 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 is being authentic? So when we're looking at this, the one thing that oftentimes gets neglected when we're exploring this notion of being authentic, um, that being authentic has to be rooted in something much deeper than just 5 steps or 10 steps or whatever it might be. Being authentic has to arise from our willingness to continue to come back to ourselves and connect with our own essential nature, to remember and remind and reconnect and return home, because it's while there may be information out there that can be helpful, the true source really does come from being able to um, connect deeply and say, how can being authentic in my life come from that place? And that place is simply a willingness to be patient. Be patient with yourself, be patient with others, be patient with the fact that life isn't perfect, that there is no magic solution. It's a day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute excursion. And to be patient with that. You're in the midst of all of that. And when we put so much energy into saying, I want it my way, we disconnect ourselves from allowing, from honoring a more genuine truth part of what is true for us. And so it is a matter of just be patient. Even, and this is true in very difficult situations, very painful situations. How can I stay put amidst all of this? I can't make it go away. I can't suddenly wave a wand and everything will be great. So how can I just be patient and stay with, how am I going to bring my being authentic into this situation? Be open, be curious. Nothing lasts forever. I mean, it's kind of a trite saying and all that kind of stuff, but it's true. These moments that are arising, good, bad, or indifferent, are going to emerge, evolve into something else. Stay put. Be curious. Wonder how you're going to show up as this event, situation, experience um, uh, emerges. And this can be a very difficult kind of thing because not all experiences are great and wonderful. And being authentic isn't going to protect us from the ups and downs of life, even the most tragic ones, even the most tragic ones. And how are we going to bring compassion to these arrival of moments? How are we going to bring a sense of gentleness, a sense of kindness? It doesn't mean that you just kind of step back and have a smile on your face all the time. Sometimes you have to take real decisive action. How do I do that with a greater sense of patience and openness and compassion? Um, and so allowing ourselves to remind and remember and come back home um, strengthens our ability and our resolve and our being authentic. Now, you can be authentically in a bad mood. Being authentic doesn't always mean having a smile on your face and being nice and all that kind of stuff. You can be in a foul mood. You could be hurting physically. You could just have woken up on the wrong side of bed. um, Maybe current events are just dragging you down. The isolation might be getting to us. All sorts of things. We all, we're all human, and it isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic, showing up with a sense of patience. Take a deep breath and say, okay, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't how I would have written this. So how am I going to interact with what is going on? And it isn't a matter of let's make the best of things, because you may not know what that is at the time. Being authentic also means not knowing what to do. Not knowing what to do. In my early years of being a therapist, I went to a workshop of from somebody who was kind of one of the pioneers in my field, and a person raised their hand and they said, when I'm in with a client and something's going on and I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do, what should I do? Because they're coming to me for help. And this individual smiled and he says, well, that happens to me about 20 times every hour. Um, and which was a nice reframe, but it's also what he went on to say was, own it, sit with it. If appropriate, share that. I really don't know what to say right now. So let's just sit and wait for the next thing that comes to our minds, and let's start with that. Sometimes the best thing to do is just be quiet. That's authentic. Doing isn't always required. Sometimes just sitting with somebody and saying, I don't know what to say, because we've all been in experiences where either through our own loss or somebody else's loss or what have you, people say things that they think help somebody else, but it's only trying to take care of their anxiety about not knowing what to say. So it isn't always being perfect or having the right answer or those kinds of things. It can be a matter of embracing our not knowing. Boy, doesn't that take a lot of pressure off? You don't have to all the time. That's being authentic. It's not about coming up with a clever statement or fixing a situation or making somebody feeling better. Sometimes it's just, let's just hang out here. I have a slide in one of my presentations that says, sometimes I wrestle with my demons, other times we just sit and eat cheesecake. So again, it's a matter of what can you bring to each moment, each situation. And there'll be some days you can bring quite a bit, and other days you can't. let yourself be fluid. Let yourself be workable in terms of what this means um, for being authentic, being able to stay with moments, um, and honor the fact that your authenticity is going to change. It's going to be different uh, because of a lot of situations. Some situations it will be very, very hard to dig deep and say, what is it? How can I anchor myself in this situation so that I can move gently through it and compassionately through it? So, why don't you take a few moments to just get comfortable, close your eyes, and relax your shoulders. Take that deep breath, follow that out breath out to that pause, and just rest there. It's a place where you can just hang out with nowhere to go until the next in breath comes. And bring yourself back to remembering, bringing your awareness back to your entire connected physical self, from your feet to your legs, your hips to your torso, shoulders. Come back to remembering, putting ourselves back together right where you are. This is it. Notice any areas of resistance or tension and just let it soften a bit. Just as you exhale, just allow whatever resistance or tension there may be to soften. And to return, bringing your attention, pulling it away from all the stuff out there, and returning back here. And connecting with your pause is a powerful way just to say, come back home, come back here for a moment, get refueled, get grounded, return our attention to our physical selves, our emotional selves, our spiritual selves, just returning. And finally, to remind, come back to our awareness of, of ourselves as beings, complicated beings, fluid beings, beings amidst movement and change, imperfect beings. Reminding ourselves that we are intimately connected to things so much bigger than ourselves, that we are an amazing reflection of. And continuing to come back to remembering, returning, and reminding is the basis that allows us then to navigate through the waters of our lives, to navigate calm, smooth waters, the rough ones, the rapids, to navigate with greater patience, greater openness, and greater compassion. So take a moment and place your hand over your heart. Because being authentic doesn't come from up here, doesn't come from our mind or our thinking. It comes from a deeper wisdom, a deeper place of wisdom rather than a place of fear and aggression, which oftentimes our thinking mind can generate a lot of. To remember, to return, to remind ourselves, and to listen. Listen with the question of what does being authentic mean to you? Honoring what continues to be true for you. That will always change. Holding with great gentleness and kindness that you are a fluid being. You don't have to be tomorrow the way you are today. And that's part of that openness and curiosity of what will invite me to deepen my sense of being authentic, deepen my connection to my beingness, that spiritual part of ourselves, that part of ourselves that represents all other aspects of creation, and find some solace there, find some real wisdom. Don't look for answers, don't try to think it up. With quiet, you clear away the clutter and the noise. And you get closer and closer to what is real. Not real for me or you or anybody else, but what is real? Not according to any book or workshop, but it's coming back home and sitting with that question with no expectation of an answer. So just sit with this for a few moments. Being authentic is an evolution. Give yourself that permission to bring how we are out here closer and closer to our essential nature, our essential grounded spiritual connection. And it's an evolution. And it's honoring a wisdom that goes beyond what you can think about. What you can analyze. What is true for you right now? Remember, return, and remind yourself. Silence, open, receptive. So as you move out into your days, first of all, be safe and well, and be fluid. Authentic isn't a definition. It isn't a static thing. It's fluid, it's dynamic, it's creative. And it's also connected to something much deeper than what we think is authentic. Because authentic is a way of being, not a way of thinking. So it's good to have all of you join in tonight. Stay well. And as always, if you have questions or what have you, you can connect with me through the Zen Times site. And I'll stay on for a few minutes if there's any questions or you're very welcome, folks. You're welcome, Kathy. Glad you could make it, Martha. Sorry about the time mix-up. Hi, Lucy. You too, Shirley. Thank you. Okay, as we're winding down, I'm going to sign off. Again, if you have questions or what have you, you can contact me through the Zen Times Facebook site. Have a good evening. Be safe. Bye.